Success draws other people that want to be successful. We've got a lot of people out there that masquerade and they just think it's gonna, magically happen. That whole conversation around being big and being successful and growing to $100 million or $500 million or $1 billion business, like when you set the bar that high, all of a sudden you have an understanding. Like you've got to know what your number is. Like you've got to know exactly, all right, if I want to make, $100,000 a month, how many appointments does that take? How many, in order to have that many appointments, how many prospecting calls do I need to make? Once you have a big vision that warrants attacking, that warrants your attention, now all of a sudden you can get to the work of building. And whether that's prospecting for, growing salespeople or growing sales, there's only two ways, right? There's two ways that you can, that where prospecting falls into the equation. As I talked about, in the last episode, I think one of those ways is actually account by account. The other is prospecting for talent. Recruiting and the great differentiator between one organization and another is nothing more than the talent that's inside the organization. And this idea of relentlessly pursuing upgrading your talent takes a steadfast commitment to understanding, what does your org chart look like? What are all the open positions on your chart that are going to lead you to being, a $50 million business, a $100 million business, a $200 million business, a $500 billion. And, I think that many entrepreneurs, they think too small, right? They're thinking a week. They're thinking a month, they're thinking 6 months or a year down the road. They're trying to translate, how much money am I gonna earn? As opposed to really thinking about what's the organization that I need to have in place in order to achieve the goals that I've set for myself. And once you kind of really get a clear picture and you know your number, you know how many people you need to achieve that goal, you know what roles they need to play, you can actually begin, really attacking, fulfilling those positions. Someone brought to my attention the other day that I used the same analogy for riding a bicycle uphill, and I was talking both about prospecting and recruiting. And in my mind, in building a business, they're one and the same, right? You're either building one account at a time, one client at a time, or one person at a time, right? You're either gonna grow your top line through sales, or you're gonna grow it through distribution. And a healthy organization is a growing organization. Getting big requires understanding where you want to go and what you need in order to get there. And so, how big of a team do I need? I always had this vision that my team, I wanted to fill the big house for my Monday morning meeting, right? A stadium that held 100,000 people. Now, I'm not there yet, but each day I inch a little bit closer to getting to that place where my distribution is so massive that we're gonna need an arena, or we're gonna need a stadium. But I think that, the vast majority of people think too small, right? They're thinking about, how am I gonna make six figures, or how am I gonna afford that car, or how am I gonna do this, or how am I gonna be able to achieve these things? And even if your objective is to, have a nice living and get to this work-life balance thing, which I don't think there is any such thing for entrepreneurs. I think that you're in a perpetual state of feeling guilty. You feel guilty when you're at home that you're not at work, and when you feel guilty when you're at work and you're not at home, it's just a normal part for me. I don't know that I'll ever get past that, because my aspirations are so massive, right? I want to be an amazing father, and I want to build a massive business. And I think that not understanding, not thinking big enough, is gonna lead you to settling for a lot less. And just think bigger. Be so audacious in the goal you set for yourself, whatever it is, that you're gonna work towards that number. And interestingly enough, when you do that, everything else kind of takes care of itself. You're gonna, when you decide that you're gonna be number one in the company, when you decide that you're gonna be the guy who grows the organization bigger than anyone else, you're gonna get tapped on the shoulder. Opportunity's gonna find you. You won't have to go searching for it. You're not gonna have to ask somebody to give you that job as a vice president. You're gonna be the obvious choice when it opens up. As an entrepreneur, people are gonna come to you. Money's gonna come to you. You don't have to go out and raise capital, because you're building such a big business that people wanna be part of it. Success draws other people that want to be successful. And we've got a lot of people out there that masquerade and they just think it's gonna, magically happen. Man, you gotta know what you're trying to build. $1 million is nothing. You're not gonna get to $1 million unless you're shooting for $100 million. You're not gonna get to $100 million unless you're shooting for $100 billion. And you just gotta keep pushing. You gotta keep driving.